Hello, everyone. Welcome to ePBS Breakout Call 27. I guess I can quickly mention that there are two new specification releases. So v1.6.0 beta 2, and then the stable v.1.6.0 release. Those primarily focus on gloss and include some new tests and spec changes. I suspect several of you have already updated to track that, so thank you. There were a few merged PRs. I don't need to go over all of them, but I've checked them here, and there is one new open PR, which I have not reviewed yet, but maybe, oh. And then one other one that POTUS just shared in the chat. I'll get added right now. Oh, okay. Thank you, POTUS. We can talk more about that in Stefan's agenda item. I'll add it to the agenda later. Thank you. I guess we should move on to client implementation updates. Prysm, could someone from Prysm get us started? Terrence or POTUS?
We've been mostly focusing on Fusaka mainnet, so not much progress in terms of just like merging ePBS related implementation into the main develop branch. So we merged the container branch, which contains all the container object. So that was pretty much the baseline, and now we're focusing on merging the other things. But yeah, after I think this week, once we have the mainnet release for Fusaka, we'll see more progress. Other than that, we have a bunch of PRs that passed the spec test for the beacon chain spec, but not much after that. Yeah, so but we'll see more progress soon.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, totally expected. Is there anyone here from Lighthouse that could give an update?
Hey, yeah. A few of my PRs related to block processing are getting merged into Lighthouse, like process execution bid, process withdrawals type of stuff. I know we have Ethan who's joined as well, the effort. He's working on Seek Manager related changes for like execution payload by envelope type of stuff. And then I think Mark's doing some envelope processing, like so payload processing. So it's just an update of stuff.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, someone from Teku, please.
Yeah, not much update from our side. Yeah, we've also been focusing on Fusaka mainnet release. Mehdi is working on some attestation gossip changes. And yeah, apart from that, not that much update.
Okay. Is there anyone here from Nimbus? I don't think so. NC from Lodestar, could you give an update?
Yeah, so last week we got everything in the beacon chain spec implemented and tested. We passed those associated spec tests. Nico is looking at the block production stuff, and I'm working on the gossip change.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, is there anyone from Grantine that can give an update?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So there are some open PRs around Gossip Sub and RPC changes, and most of the sync work is complete except some of the storage and persistence stuff. Uh, 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 so we made some progress on the networking side as well. I think over next 2 to 3 weeks, I think we would have something, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any estimates for like when we think DevNet 0 might be ready? I'm kind of personally thinking it'll probably be next year, like mid-January at the earliest. Does that sound right? Okay. Yeah, in my opinion, the rest of this year should probably be focused on Fusaka and making sure that goes smoothly. So, okay. Otis, would you like to talk about adding an off protocol value field to the bid?
Sure. It's a pity that Francesco is not here, I think. Oh no, Francesco is here.
I am here.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So I reacted negatively because I didn't want to have this off protocol value being part of consensus, but I think I was wrong. If we put this in the bid, then we can actually have the clients check if this has been paid or not, or at least do some sort of check that the fee recipient actually increased the balance, and it could be tricked by the proposer itself. So this, but I don't see how this is an attack. So there's something that can be done if we put this in the bid instead of on the builder API. Then the client can do some validation that the builder is actually paying, which is something that we cannot do today with MapBoost. We're just trusting the relay to do this check. So I don't know. I'm just admitting that I was wrong, and that I want to take that back and want to put it in the bid, but I don't know how people feel about it.
I haven't thought about it personally, but how do other client teams feel if you have an opinion? Okay.
I guess what
I'll
are some of the cons of doing it? We had it.
I'm sorry, Shane. I didn't get that.
I was asking if we add the off protocol value to the bid, what are some of the cons? You just mentioned some of the pros, so I was just curious, like what are the trade-offs?
Well,
Yeah,
the obvious
slightly
con to
larger
me-
size, I guess.
No, the
It's like
con
one little value.
that's not a problem. I mean, these things are not even going to propagate that much. The problem for me is sort of like a philosophical problem of enshrining this off protocol thing on the beacon state, which kind of sucks. But this is going to happen anyways if we put it in the engine API, and it actually helps the protocol having these payments outside of the churn of the withdrawal. So I'm not opposed to this kind of payments being even the default.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the most like used value comparison to the normal in protocol bid. Then that's, I guess, a strong point for it.
Terrence?
I'm not so sure how I guess I mean this is like open question for me. It's like does it matter whether the EL client is like ready at day one? Because you can think of like EL client, like this makes it more like an optional type of field that EL client, for example, is not dependent because like for example the payload is not gonna be invalid if it doesn't pay this bid, right? I presume. So basically the EL client just kind of tells you for example, that it's not like satisfied, and then you basically just log in on the CL client side, or you can also uh blacklist the builder, for example. But like, are you thinking to make this like a requirement such that if it doesn't satisfy the bid, you just return the invalid payload or something?
No, not at all. I mean, this is a trusted thing. So why would we like make it invalid? Also, because then the proposer itself can try to trick it. And I don't think we want to even change the engine API for this. So to have a check that the fee recipient increased by something, you can just use the ETH API for this, like what we used to do for deposits. I don't know. Perhaps in the future we can just ask on new payload if it did satisfy. I mean, we can have that in the engine API as well, that when you send new payload, the engine replies with what was the value for the feed recipient. I mean, we can talk about that too, and we can add this check to the engine API. But in principle, it's not really necessary.
Okay, yeah, because I thought you were gonna do it at the engine API, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, because I thought because you wanna do the censorship on the engine API, you might as well do this one as well. But yeah, got it.
Is this something that needs to be brought up at ACDC next week?
I don't think so. This is just a minor thing on as of now. It's just a minor thing of moving something that is not yet in the builder API, adding it to the bid. If we do need to change the engine API, which I'm going to propose anyways, depending on what's going to happen with FOCIL, then we can just bring this to the engine API. We can bring this to ACD or ACDT perhaps to discuss what change. I mean, if the changes to the engine API are bad.
Maybe.
So it's easy how it looks on the engine API. So on the engine API, when we send and notify new payload, then when we are sending this, we need to send the feed recipient. And when we receive a reply about if it's valid or syncing or whatever it is, the engine should reply of what was the increase in the value on that feed recipient. What was the change of state from before the payload to after the payload on that feed recipient that we just sent?
Got it. If you open a PR, we can discuss it there. Like, and if it gets enough approvals, we might just be able to merge it before ACDC.
But the way this can probably be done directly on the CL side, if we parse, I mean, I know everyone is going to be against it, and I'm going to be against it as well. But if we parse the block level access list, we could just do this directly on the CL side.
Parse the val in the CL?
Well, it's in the payload.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, not a fan of that. But
yeah, I definitely, I don't like it either.
And Francesco brought up the idea of like maybe just having an enforced payment Boolean instead. My opinion is that I'd rather just have value if we're gonna do this.
Is there a benefit
Change?
to enforce payment if you, right now we're looking at the bid and you saw value and like the off protocol value. You wouldn't really know which one was like selected in the end. But if you have the enforced payment Boolean, at least you could tell by looking at, say, like the bid, oh, okay, we're basically going to ignore the in protocol value here.
Otis, do you have an opinion on this?
I didn't understand what is this enforced payment Boolean. So can you guys explain?
I'm just saying, like, instead of having value and off protocol value, just have value and then a Boolean that says if value is to be enforced or not. And if it's not to be enforced, then it's just an off protocol value.
Oh, okay. So this in the bid, you mean?
Yeah, in the bid.
Yeah, that's gonna be a larger change, both in the spec and it's like kind of ugly to reason about. Currently, if we just added this off protocol value, we can just deal with it however we want. So I can just ignore it as a client and not accept off protocol values if I have this feature flag or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know.
I also think I might have misunderstood. Would value be set to the off protocol value if enforced payment is false?
Yeah, but also like builders might want to actually have two different values. Like they might want to say, take this if you want to accept an in-protocol bid. And if you are willing to accept an off-protocol one, then I'm going to pay you this other thing. And instead of sending two different bids on two different channels or putting up two different endpoints, this for off-protocol payments and this for in-protocol payments, they can just send one bid with both values and the proposer can choose.
But like if you send one bid with both values, like aren't they both gonna be like, aren't you gonna make two payments at the end of the day? Like how does, I mean, the protocol value is always enforced.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Yeah, this is a problem of speaking without thinking. I don't know how we would enforce one or the other one. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to send two bids anyways.
I mean, like I don't really care too much about this, but just to say, like, I guess one slight benefit of this enforced payment thing is that if it's off, then you can just not run any of the logic that's related to the payment. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's even worse because Like now you have two kind of like different paths in the
Yeah,
C
that's
transition.
what I'm worried about, that you need to change the spec in like to dealing with this. And it's sort of like having a Boolean in the, I don't like this thing of having control Booleans on helpers.
All right, POTUS, could you open a PR for this, or is it too soon to do so?
I can. I was hoping to wait a week or two. I want to see what's going on with FOCIL, because if FOCIL is accepted, then we already have this satisfaction of the inclusion list in the engine API. But if FOCIL is not accepted, then I want to have some sort of signal from the EL that there was censoring in the block in the same call. I can probably open just the spec for the value on the bit, which is on the beacon chain on the consensus spec, and then the engine API. I tried to convince Shane of doing it.
Okay, it's okay. It's all right if you want to wait a week or two as well. I get that. And this is a pretty good transition into your next topic about adding a censoring flag to the engine API. Do you want to talk some about that? What are the benefits of this?
Oh, that's a very simple thing. The EL clients, most of them, I think, have already implemented this logic already in for inclusion list. They have a way of picking what transactions they want to include in the inclusion list. So they are tracking some transactions. And Nethermind even already has this Boolean to say that there has been some censoring going on because they see some transactions that have stayed in the pool. So what I was hoping is that the EL will have some notion of some transactions that they locally see that they should have been included and they weren't included. For example, transactions that have been sitting in the pool paying and they could have been included before and they weren't, or transactions that that were reorged. For example, they appeared on a block, then the reorging block didn't include them. Those are the most dangerous ones. And then if the EL has this notion, and then they see a block on notify new payload, they see that some transactions that they were tracking for a while were censored and they didn't get included, and they could have been included, then the EL would just notify this on a Boolean, accept the payload as valid, but then come back with this Boolean saying this payload was censoring. And the consensus client can use this information to blacklist that builder.
Terrence?
Couldn't you use this to grid the builder as well? Meaning you send the transactions to everyone except for the builder. I assume builders probably have like good mempool access and stuff like that. And then the heuristic is probably generous enough that you wait it long enough such that to ensure the builder can get the transactions. Yeah, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, this is not something forced anyways. And yeah, so if the EL implements a really bad heuristic and like taking something from your mempool that you just arrived and it didn't get included in that particular block, then I would say that's an EL bug more than a spec bug.
At which point would a builder become unblacklisted, if ever?
I guess this depends on the CL implementation. I'm not specifying anything. I'm just leaving it up both to the EL to decide what heuristics they want to set this flag as true, and to the CL to decide if they even want to act on this or not.
Got it. Maybe we can bring this up at ACDC next week when discussing FOCIL.
Okay. I would rather wait for a decision on FOCIL.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. So,
are you saying that we might want to do this if FOCIL is not included?
Yeah, this only makes sense if FOCIL is not included. If FOCIL is included, yeah, this already is included as part of FOCIL. I mean, there's something better than this included as part of FOCIL.
But you're not proposing this as an alternative to FOCIL, correct?
And yeah, I'm definitely not proposing this as an alternative to FOCIL. That's why I don't want to undermine FOCIL by proposing this on ICDC at the same time that FOCIL is being discussed.
Okay, I support that. Yeah, let's talk about this 2 weeks from today, or whenever the next ePBS breakout call is. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. Shane, would you like to talk about your comment?
Yeah, it's kind of long, but essentially in process epoch, we're doing process builder pending payments, right? And that is going to be trying to get a quorum threshold. And let me see if I can even read it. It's kind of small on my screen. In process builder pending payments from the previous epoch, sure, it's making a function call to, yeah, if you can make it a little bit bigger, that would kind of help. Process effective balance of it. Yeah, okay, so we're actually updating the balances on the state before we're calling this process builder pending payments. And yeah, I'm just curious if we should be using like the previous epoch's balances to calculate this quorum threshold within process builder pending payments, or if we want like the new updated state's effective balance for this. Yeah, basically, do we just want to like replace where process builder pending payments is during process epoch to be before this like effective balance updates, or not? And like, what is the reasoning one way or another? Because I wasn't sure. Because you're like essentially processing the builder pending payments from the previous epoch. So I kind of felt like the effective balances from the previous epoch state should potentially apply for the quorum calculation, and may help to like pull up the spec and look at it. Not sure, but yeah. The end of process epoch, and then you can see in process builder pending payments.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to this function. Oh, actually, we're already there.
Yeah. And then like the first thing, quorum, and you can see like there's a line at the top, right? Like process the builder pending payments from the previous epoch. So I was like, okay, well, for processing stuff from previous epoch, maybe use effective balances from previous epoch, but that's not how process epoch is currently going, because we have it at the end and it's after the effective balance updates have already been done.
I see. I will have to think about this some, but do other client teams have opinions? Technically, I think the comment is misleading for process builder payments.
Which comment is misleading?
The doc string for process builder pending payments. It says process pending payments from the previous epoch. Or wait, no, it's not. I'm confusing myself, I'm sorry. But it is using effective balances from the current epoch.
I think what Shane is raising is the fact that we're calling this with the balances. Does this come after or before processing the effective balance?
After.
Yeah, it's at the end of process epoch.
So in principle, we might use a threshold. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think it matters much, but I guess semantically it should be better if we do this before. Yeah, I don't know. I need to think about this.
Shane, would the fix be simply just moving it before process effective balance updates?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
But doing it before, yeah, so changing the order of these kind of things typically like affects other things. So that's why I would be worried. I can't see off the top of my head if there's any danger of moving this function before process effective balances.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of nested stuff. So like within process builder pending payments, I think get it has like compute exit epoch and update churn as well. And compute exit epoch and update churn also will call like get effective balances as well to calculate exit epoch churn, which is interesting because if you were to look at something like, I think process rewards and penalties or process register updates. Like you won't find it like in this like version of the spec. Those are like created in like I don't know lecture or something. But yeah, those guys also are going to try to get effective balances to be able to like use the compute exit epoch and update churn as
Yeah,
well. But those are
that
like
was
pre state updates. So I'm like, oh, okay, they're both trying to do compute exit epoch and update churn, but like those rewards ones are before the effective balance updates, but now we're having process builder pending payments use the same function, compute exit epoch and update churn, but with like a new state effective balance. And that was like another small inconsistency that I noticed, and I don't know if it matters or not.
I'm not sure if it actually matters at the level of that for the values that we have, but one of my biggest grudge on the spec today, besides withdrawals, is that little helper, compute exit epoch and update churn. It made, since Electro, it made reasoning about any function much more complicated than anything else because it computes something and it changes the state at the same time. I really wish we just didn't have that helper, or we just split it into two different things.
Yeah, and that was kind of like where part of my like dislike came from. I was like, okay, like this is updating state using old effective balances for again like process slashings, but now we're going to be calling compute exit epoch update churn updating state with process builder pending payments after effective balances have been updated. It just seems, yeah, kind of, yeah, that was the inconsistency. So I was like, okay, if we just move it up, then at least we're going to be using like the same effective balances for compute exit epoch and update churn state updates.
Yeah, my first reaction to this would be not to change anything. There's two reasons. One is that we don't really change effective balances that much. And second is the fact that there's a huge difference between the threshold and, I mean, we have like a 20% resistance to paying and then the reorg. So, I mean, there's a difference between the proposer boost and the quorum. So I think, which is about 20%. And I think that can never be reached, not even close, by effective balance changes. So I think it should be perfectly fine just to keep it as is, but I would just defer to French. Oh, Francisco's already saying something in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying exactly this, that I mean, I think probably the right things to do is to put it before, but it's almost like, I don't think the effect is even like, it's like barely measurable. Its effect should just be that the security margin just becomes slightly smaller, but it's like, it's probably like a fraction of a percent. So I don't know. I think it probably doesn't really matter. One thing maybe I would want to look a bit more into, unrelated to, I mean, related to this function, but like unrelated to the security thing, is actually, yeah, the what's happening with the exit epochs. Just because I know that there actually were things related to, I think, consolidations and like withdrawal epochs that where it mattered the order in which things were happening in the epoch transition. So like if we're adding other things that touch the same kind of exits and withdrawal epoch stuff, maybe it's worth just checking that it's not like kind of breaking any existing logic that depending on certain things being like the only ways in which like the execute or something was being touched during the epoch transition. But right now I can't like say that there's anything wrong. Just something to double check.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't want to move process builder pending payments up? Or is it just no
It's just that
reason?
moving these things is dangerous. It's hard to reason about. My only fear is that moving could trigger an actual bug. It doesn't seem to, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to make the change, like sooner the better, I guess. Shane, could you make a thread on Discord in the ePBS channel? And maybe we can
Certainly.
continue discussing this there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone Does anyone else want to say anything about this before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, just replying to Francesco in this thing. So the reason why I put everything on the end, I think it's just historical, nothing else. We just like any changes that comes. It's easier to reason about changes that come to the state after we've done everything that we did before, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Stefan, would you like to talk about the thing you found?
Yeah, so it's something I spotted during testing, which basically we have a function when during the execution processing, which is verifying the prev rundown, and that's basically using the post state when we have already processed the block, so the rundown changes. Yeah, so I saw that POTUS already raised the PR for that, which looks good, using the bit. So I guess for DevNet, we should probably put this and yeah, I mean, base the DevNet on the next release, which include this, I guess.
Yeah, we can make a new release pretty soon. I was thinking about doing a 1.6.1 release whenever there's like a need for one.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, putting the prev rundown in the bit looks good to me. That's what I had in mind as well.
It could be cached in the state as well. I don't know. Putting it in the bid makes it it doesn't makes it so that we don't need to be looking in the state.
Yeah, I think it's better in the bit.
And POTUS, why did you put prev rundown where it is? Just curious. Any logic behind that?
In the you mean the position in the container?
Yeah.
I don't know. There were a bunch of hashes before, so put all the hashes about in the same place. That usually alignment is good there.
Okay. I was just curious because of our previous discussion on just adding things to the end.
Yeah, but this thing doesn't exist, right?
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. If clients can approve this PR, I will try to merge it as soon as I can, or as after I review it and everyone else has.
Actually, what worries me the most is what Terence is doing, and I'm definitely not going to do. Why in the hell test would pass? I mean, how can test be be passing at all? My guess is that the tests are constructing the payload after the block has been constructed. And this is just a logical error. Like no test could ever pass on GLOAS.
Is it
Because
not like separate processing? I mean,
well,
it's
but you
like
cannot construct a payload. And so today you cannot construct a payload that actually passes until you have seen the block, right?
Terrence?
So the only tests we really add in and spend time on are the SSD static and then the block operation and process epoch tests. I think every other test we just assume it works, hopefully it works, but we never really look into why, how, and what those tests are. So yeah, we definitely need to spend more efforts on just like the sanity test, like the block, and just the test that test the whole state transition function across multiple slots or blocks.
But don't we have tests like for process? Oh, I see. So probably the tests that check for process execution payload, they only focus on that particular function.
Exactly.
Which already have okay. So this can only be caught if we test both at the same time, the block and the payload. Okay, I can add a regression test in that PR for this particular issue, but definitely not I'm not willing to write a test that that does both things, the block and the payload. Because that seems complicated.
Yeah. I say just add the test for the assert that line.
Yeah, agreed. And then I can talk with Leo about adding more extensive testing. Leo's kind of in charge of the consensus spec tests. So, yeah. Okay. Is there anything else people want to talk about? I think that was the last agenda item.
Can we go back to the bid thing, because this can be probably added to this? So is there a preference for the it wasn't clear to me if Shane and Francesco both preferred the Boolean or the value on the bid. If it wasn't a strong preference, then I would prefer to add the value directly. To me, it's easier to think about implementation that way. I can just ignore it.
I don't have a strong opinion.
Yeah, I mean, me neither.
Okay, then I'll open the PR for the do you guys want me to add the value and the same thing for the random mix? And then we just fix both at the same time?
I would prefer separate PR.
Okay, I'll open two.
Are you just going to name the field off protocol value?
Oh, God damn it. I'm horrible with names. I'll take it whatever you give me.
I don't know. I mean, that sounds fine to me. But
Trusted value?
No, I don't want to use trusted and trustless. I think that confuses people.
Off protocol value? Or execution layer value or something like that?
Yeah, protocol value sounds so odd to put in protocol. It's the most logical thing too at the same time.
Yeah, I really don't know. I can spend a little bit of time thinking about it, but currently off protocol value is the most clear thing to me.
I think it's best. It's weird, funny. No.
Trust me, bro value. Yeah. Don't know. I'll think about it. Okay. Anything else from anyone? Okay. Thank you everyone for attending. Talk to you in 2 weeks or whenever the next breakout call is.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.